people ask, why do you move them every day or even twice a day? It's simply that. It's less stressful. It's better on the cattle, and it's easy. Once you do it, this is almost as long as what you do to come out and check your cattle every day.
So let's talk about that, because the number one objection that I always hear from anybody that when you first present the concept of adaptive or flex grazing and moving cattle every day is that, oh my gosh, I don't have time to go out and move. I got to build a paddock and I got to move cattle every day. Are you kidding me? So let's talk about that effectively. So you've got a 3-acre paddock here, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to move them twice a day. So you're going to split that paddock with a single strand of polywire into 1.5-acre size paddocks for the day. So how long does it take you to build a paddock?
15, 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes. Wow.
Yeah.
So you cover 3 acres, single strand polywire, tread in post. 15 to 20 minutes is all you take. Now, but Judy, you spend more time than that. And what are you doing with the time that you spend?
Well, I'm observing cattle. I also move to set up and make the new pen is the 15 or 20 minutes, but then I take down the old pen in the process. I also move the mineral. I observe the cattle.
She checks the manure. She looks at that to make sure what's going on that way.
So Judy, you just built a new paddock and moved these cattle. And let's talk about the timing that it took to do that. So, you know, I was actually timing you with my stopwatch the entire time.
Okay.
So from the time that you started the building of this new 1.5-acre paddock to the time that you got down here to where the old paddock was, to let them into the new paddock, that was 14 minutes. That was it.
It's pretty quick.
And you were pretty leisurely. You weren't in a rush at all, were you?
And you had a cameraman getting in your way also, for the record.
So, you know, when people talk about the time that this is going to take out of their lives to do this, you know, if the honest truth is, if we can't afford 14, 15 minutes, wow.
Yeah, it's actually very efficient.
Right.
And it's a good use of your time.
We've got far bigger issues if that 15 minutes makes all the difference, don't we?
Yeah.
And then what was even more interesting was when you came down here to reel in a stretch to let the cattle move into this paddock, it took 72 seconds for every single cow and calf to move into the new paddock. 72 seconds.
It's not much.
It's not much at all. And then when we talk about reeling up your polywire between this new paddock and the old paddock, that only took 32 seconds. So when we add it all together, we're talking about, you know, 16 minutes.
Yeah.
16 minutes of your time to move 120 or so head. And that was all it took. And now you have time to sit, stand, observe. So now what we want to do is we want to measure out and construct that 1.2 acre paddock. So we're going to see how quickly you can do this and construct a new paddock and move the 35 head into this new paddock. So it took Ted all of 3 minutes to build the new paddock and take up the strand between the old paddock and the new paddock, to move the cattle into the new paddock, to move 35 head of cows and their calves. Folks, I think we all have that much time. 3 minutes of actual time invested in doing that. So one of the major objections that we often hear to doing daily moves and adaptive grazing is that I don't have time to go out there every day and build a new paddock and move my cattle. But as we've seen today, it takes very, very little time to get this done, and actually not a heck of a lot of equipment. Ted was out here on a UTV, just simply a geared reel, loaded with polywire, a few step-in posts, and the job was done. When we look at larger herds, and many of you may have larger herds, we have many people around the U.S. and Canada who are making these moves with much, much larger herds in a very short period of time as well. For instance, we have folks in Texas that are running up to 7,000 stocker calves in a single mob, a single herd. They're making 3 moves a day with those cattle. Their average paddock size is around 120 to 140 acres. So they're constructing a 120 to 140 acre paddock 3 times a day to move 7,000 head. It takes them approximately 30 to 40 minutes to construct a 120 to 140 acre paddock and move those cattle. So even with 7,000 head, we can make those moves very, very efficiently. And it only takes one man to get that job done.